Hey folks, Jordan with the Young Turks, TYT Politics. Hope you're having a good day so far. I was going to do a video on something entirely different, but Flint is back in the news. As you know, I was reporting on this yesterday. Yesterday, the Receivership Transition Authority Board, which is an unelected group of 4 or 5 business people that Governor Rick Snyder, who oversaw the poisoning of Flint, he has appointed this Receivership Transition Authority Board, who essentially can overrule the Flint mayor and the Flint City Council, making the mayor and the City Council obsolete. So it's an unelected, undemocratic board, and yesterday they overturned the Flint City Council's decision to place a 1-year moratorium on the tax liens. 8,000 tax liens were being placed on the residents of Flint who did not pay their poison water bill. Yes, this is happening in America. So this happened yesterday. So because the RTAB said because the city of Flint and the city council would not approve the 30-year contract that the state of Michigan wants them to approve to stay on Great Lakes Water Authority, they were going to basically overrule the tax liens, essentially holding the tax liens over the city council's head, saying if you don't sign this contract that we want you to sign, we're going to implement these tax liens on the poisoned residents of Flint, because of course they don't care about the residents. I mean, that's very, very clear. Well, now, breaking news, filed this morning in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Michigan, the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, MDEQ, has filed suit against the city of Flint. Before I get into the suit, we should make sure you understand the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality is essentially the state of Michigan's EPA. It's the state environmental agency that were the brilliant people who said, no, when we switch from Detroit's water system that Flint used for 50 years without a problem to the Flint River, we don't need to add anti-corrosive controls into the water. We don't need that. And we all know what happened. So the MDEQ, that was them who decided not to add anti-corrosive controls, and we know what happened. So they are filing suit against the city of Flint. Let me read to you the complaint. The residents of the city of Flint have experienced a well-documented series of problems over the past 3 years associated with a switch in drinking water sources that took place between April 2014 and April 2015. They leave out that that switch was their choice. They oversaw that toxic, poisonous switch. I digress. Since October 2015, Flint has obtained its water from the Great Lakes Water Authority, which has proven to be safe, reliable, and protective of public health. That's a lie. There's still blood in the water, there's still bacteria in the water, but the public officials have their head in the sand claiming that there is not. The mayor of Flint has negotiated an agreement to keep Flint residents on water supplied by Great Lakes Water Authority on a long-term basis and a reduced cost. Continued use of that reliable source is necessary to ensure the protection of public health in Flint. So whenever they say they're very concerned about the public health in Flint, you know there's a financial stake here. Despite proposing no other reasonable alternative, the Flint City Council has refused to approve the agreement negotiated by the mayor. The City Council's failure to act will cause an imminent and substantial endangerment to public health in Flint. If the City Council actually takes action and proposes an alternate that would either change Flint's water source or require use of its water treatment plant, any such proposal will violate the settlement agreed to in Concerned Pastors First Quarry. So, Concerned Pastors First Quarry is a lawsuit that was filed by the Concerned Pastors, some Flint residents, and the plaintiffs were awarded $97 million by a federal judge a few months ago. And that $97 million is almost exclusively going to replacing 18,000 lead and galvanized pipes that have been contaminated and destroyed. By them saying if the Flint City Council comes up with a solution other than signing on to the 30-year Great Lakes Water Authority contract, but if they come up with a different solution or a different water source, that they will be violating this settlement, that is not true. That's not factual. The settlement says nothing, actually, about the future water source for the city of Flint. So, again, the state of Michigan in this lawsuit is just lying. There's no other word for it. So what they are referring to is the EPA mandate that came out in January of 2016, saying that any water switch, if the city of Flint wanted to switch off of Detroit's water and sewage became the Great Lakes Water Authority. It used to be Detroit's Water and Sewage, now it's Great Lakes Water Authority. If any switch were to happen, there would need to be a 6-month testing period, and every step of the way would have to be approved by higher environmental regulatory departments. So them saying that this is breaching if the Flint City Council comes up with an alternative water source that's switching, that isn't the Great Lakes Water Authority, that they are breaching this settlement, that's just not true. They go on to write, plaintiff, Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, files this action to ensure that Flint residents have continued access to a safe and reliable drinking water source. For the reasons set forth below, MDEQ requests that this court declare that the City Council's inaction will result in violation of applicable law and that Flint must enter into the agreement to use finished water supplied by Great Lakes Water Authority. There is simply no other option that will adequately protect the public health in Flint. I don't even know where to start with this. So if you're not familiar, and if you're not from Flint, essentially they have been, the state of Michigan, Rick Snyder, his goons, and MDEQ, they didn't want Flint to stay on the Great Lakes Water Authority up until recently. They were fighting like hell to get Flint to get off of Great Lakes Water Authority and use the privatized Karagandhi Water Authority, which if you followed my reporting over the last year, the push to use this privatized Karagandhi Water Authority is one of the main reasons that the Flint water crisis happened in the first place. And share this video now. Let's get this out there. Comment. I'll try to answer you. So now all of a sudden, they're over the Receivership Transition Authority Board yesterday overturns the Flint City Council and re-implements tax liens on poisoned Flint residents, saying that if the City Council does not vote and approve this 30-year contract to stay on the Great Lakes Water Authority, we are going to reinstitute the tax liens. And now today, they file a lawsuit, the MDEQ, which, by the way, the lawsuit is coming from the state of Michigan. The MDEQ didn't just decide this. Governor Rick Snyder and his lackeys are making them file this lawsuit. So what is the rush? What is the rush to ram through this 30-year contract with the Great Lakes Water Authority, and who financially benefits from it? I would like to know. Would you like to know? It is hostage taking. By implementing the tax lien, by overruling the city council, which, by the way, is not democratic. We keep hearing from the corporate media and journalists, democracy is under attack. Democracy is under attack in Flint, folks. It's been under attack before President Trump. They have an unelected board of 4 people that Rick Snyder appointed that essentially are overruling the mayor of Flint and the city council of Flint. And now you have a lawsuit from the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, which is coming from Governor Snyder, make no mistake about it, essentially trying to ram and force a 30-year contract with the Great Lakes Water Authority. For what reason? Why should the Flint City Council, which is elected to represent the people of Flint who have been poisoned and treated like shit after that, why should they rush to judgment? Why should they rush to vote for a 30-year contract without weighing other options? Doesn't a 30-year contract seem kind of long in this situation? In this situation where residents have been poisoned? Wouldn't you want to take a more conservative approach if the Great Lakes Water Authority does not work out? So something doesn't smell right here. You have Rick Snyder's essentially goons on the RTAB. They are essentially holding hostage the City Council of Flint that if you don't vote for our 30-year contract, we're going to reinstitute the tax liens on the poor residents of Flint. And now today, less than 24 hours after that, you have a lawsuit against the city of Flint, citing that the City Council will be breaching the settlement if they vote to use a different water source, even though that settlement has nothing to do with the future water source of Flint. So not only is this not factual, this lawsuit, and not based on law, but It's not gonna legally work because it's based on faulty law and faulty. They're citing a settlement that isn't about the future water source. And I just have to say, folks, because frankly the media in Flint and Michigan is not so great. Obviously, you know my thoughts on the corporate media. These residents have been poisoned, and they don't have their medical coverage fully covered. Most of them that I talk to on a daily basis will have health issues for the rest of their lives. Probably won't live as long as they would have previously. And their health, their justice is essentially being held hostage by the state of Michigan, who poisoned them, to try and ram through a 30-year contract. For what reason? Why the sudden change of heart from the state of Michigan, and now they want this 30-year contract? Who are the contractors associated with this, and who will stand to benefit financially? And at what point does basic morality stand in and say, you know what, maybe in this one case, we shouldn't focus on the money and should focus on making these residents as whole as we could make them after we poison them? I know that's a radical thought in America, to put people before profits, even people we've poisoned. But there you have it. There's a lawsuit, Eastern District of Michigan. The MDEQ has filed against the city of Flint and basically trying to force them to sign a 30-year contract with the Great Lakes Water Authority. I will stay on this. I just did an interview this morning with activist Melissa Mays. She's a resident there. We'll try to get that up on youtube.com/TYTpolitics as soon as possible. Follow me at Jordan Chariton. Like my Facebook page, my public Facebook page. So I have a personal Facebook page that I'm not using that much anymore. You could like my public fan page. Just type in Jordan Chariton. You'll see me up there holding a microphone as the image. And if you haven't checked out my book, corporateconjob.com, that's corporateconjob.com. You could check out the introduction, chapter 1, download it, support me if you wish with a donation, and I will have chapter 2 out quickly. Thank you.